The rays of the one light. This is a weekly commentary on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. Week 12. We are children of light. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. It is common for people to perceive themselves according to their present realities. A person in ill health says, I am ill. Few say, I am well. It is my body that is suffering. People in a low income bracket say, I am poor. Only the unusual person will say, though outwardly I live in poverty, inwardly I am wealthy. Thus, when it comes to moral and spiritual development, people commonly identify themselves with their weaknesses and their mistakes. They consider it almost a sign of humility to say, I am a sinner. Though in effect, what this means is that they identify themselves with their sinfulness, not with the soul's power to transcend all limitations in God. The great masters, including Jesus Christ, have always emphasized the divine potential of mankind. To encourage us, they address us as children of light, not of darkness. The Bible, in the Gospel of St. John, chapter 3, makes the point that our true home is not the mud of this earth, but the light of heaven. Quote, no man hath ascended up to heaven, it tells us, but him that came down from heaven. This passage continues, even so the Son of Man who is in heaven, emphasizing that Jesus, though he lived on earth, is perceived by the eye of wisdom as conscious, even in human form, of his true reality in heavenly spheres. The way to know God is to live in godly consciousness and not to bewail our imperfection and our distance from God. Jesus said, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And the Bhagavad Gita states, seekers of union with the Lord find him dwelling in their own hearts. But those who, lacking in wisdom, seek him with impure motives, cannot perceive him, however much they struggle to do so. If you want to know God, Paramahansa Yogananda said, live in the thought that you have him already. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Now we'll continue with another beautiful reading from Whispers from Eternity, a book of prayer demands and poems by Paramahansa Yogananda. This is number 59. Make me remember that virtuous ways are more charming than vicious ones. Teach me, O Spirit, not to discern the laws of virtue with dread, but with love. Teach me to remember that virtue, though sometimes difficult to follow at the start, becomes easy and self-fulfilling when I obey its laws, and adorns me finally with thy laurel of happiness. Teach me to remember that evil, though it promises a little pleasure in the beginning, always brings great sorrow in the end. Teach me to love the ways of virtue, which guide me to my own highest interest and highest good. Help me to shun vicious action, which is ever injurious to my true interest. Implant in me those wholesome habits which enable me always to perceive virtuous ways as more charming than vicious ones. Help me to remember that virtue, though sometimes bitter tasting at first, becomes nectar eventually, and that evil, though its taste seems sweet at the beginning, becomes poison at the end. So true. So today our talk is about we are children of the light. And there is no greater adventure for us to embark on as the quest for truth. And all of us who are here are in some way on that quest. You want to know truth, reality, self. All the avatars on the altar behind me and all the saints and sages that have arrived to destination never came back and said, wasn't worth it really. Never, ever, ever. They said that what they received during enlightenment, during merging with the divine, was so much, was so amazing that they would do it all over again and put in 3 times the effort. There is a little story about a lion who has lost a baby lion cub, and it's close to a flock of sheep, and the sheep take it under its wing, and they raise this baby cub lion, and the lion learns the ways of the sheep. It learns how to bleat, it learns how to eat grass, and time goes by, and the lion grows up and matures, and it's much larger than all its sheep friends, and still it bleats and it eats grass, and it's lived like this for a long time. When one day it was by a lake drinking water, and it meets another lion, and the lion roars to it, and this little sheep lion bleats back, and the lion roars, the real lion roars again, and the sheep lion bleats again, because this is all it knows. And the lion asks the sheep to look into the peaceful, still waters of the lake and to see its reflection. And the other lion was right next to it. So the sheep lion and the lion, he's seeing that they look exactly the same. And the real lion begins to roar and roar. And the little sheep lion puts out a little roar, and then a louder roar, and a bigger roar, and eventually it starts roaring again. We might say this is a cute little story. This is our story too. We were created for greatness. We were created in the likeness and image of God, created for eternity and endowed with wisdom, power, knowledge that the divine has. And yet, we keep falling into ego consciousness and living small. And so we suffer. We lost our divine inheritance, our divine state of being, because we compare with other people that are also lost and immersed in ego consciousness. In India, they have a very interesting way of curing a mad elephant. You put the mad elephant to walk between 2 sane elephants, and the mad elephant is all agitated, and he looks to the right, and he sees his friend walking very calmly and peacefully. And he looks to the left, And he sees the other guy walking very calmly and peacefully. And over time, the crazy elephant picks up the pace and the rhythm of the elephants that are flanking him. Wherever we place our attention, whoever we associate with, those are the attributes that we're going to be picking up. Do your associations uplift you or pull you down? It is said that wherever we place our energy, our attention, our eyes, we start absorbing the qualities of what we rest our attention on. Scary, really, isn't it? I mean, so many times we just let our attention go to things that are totally unimportant. It is said that jewelers have very bright eyes. And people who are immersed in ego consciousness, people who are sensualists, have opaque, dull, almost dead-looking eyes. But people who are awake and serious spiritual seekers have a lot of light in their eyes. Their eyes carry great depths of kindness, great depths of compassion and love. There is a feeling that they are at very great ease of being. And being in their presence is very healing. It brings on a lot of inspiration to us. Hence, a lot of people go to all these satsangs to sit with a spiritual teacher. Just being in the presence, and that healing presence of the teacher brings us a lot of comfort. Yogananda used to say to his monks, review your day. Every night, go through your day and mentally see your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions to see what you are becoming. That's a good question to ask ourselves. What are we becoming? Who are we becoming? Wherever that mind rests, that's what we become. We may be extremely wrapped up in a lot of definitions. I am this, I am that, I am tired, I am strong, I am frustrated, especially definitions about our past mistakes. We carry a lot of baggage on our shoulders. Our past failures, our shortcomings, and our suffering. Suffering is huge. We carry that baggage on us, and I have suffered. And that can take you into victimhood, or it can take you out of it, looking forward. Yes, I have suffered, and here I am, still standing, looking ahead, moving forward. So it's all about the attitude that you bring to this. It is common for people to say, I am Japanese, or I am an electrician, I am female, I am male. And it's all good. But if we want to really return to our status of beings of light, a statement that is more aligned with that is, I am. So I invite you to close your eyes now. Take a few moments, go within, connect with your breath, into that inner quiet. And offer this statement to yourself in silence. I am. You can open your eyes now. Did that statement in any way feel incomplete? That statement stands in its own self. That's the wholeness. That's where we want to return. I am. Nothing follows that. What can define the undefined, the eternal, changeless, timeless self? Ahiti Mahashaya, who is one of the avatars on the altar here, used to tell his devotees who used to come to him constantly with all their problems and issues, regardless of the issue that he heard, his advice was do more Kriya, meditate more. Do more Kriya, meditate more. Regardless, whether it was a relationship issue, whether it was a health-related issue, whether it was issue with finances, do more Kriya and meditate. All the solutions to our problems come from not being in a state, a higher state of consciousness. So lifting your state of consciousness is all we want to do to solve our problems. Yet Yogananda said that restlessness was a spiritual disease in our society. And that restlessness expresses itself as discontent, inharmony, unbalance, lack of peace, unwillingness to meditate, or the habit of putting off meditation. Yet that meditation is the solution. Otherwise, no matter how well you have all your little ducks lined up, there's always a sense that something is slightly off. There's a little sense that something is missing. And it is. There is a book, I can't remember which book I read it in, but it's a work of James Joyce. And he spoke about a Mr. Ripley. And Mr. Ripley's problem was he lived a short distance from himself. That was Mr. Ripley's problem. Yet, we all come into Mr. Ripley's situation by living disconnected from our center. The more we disconnect, the greater the gap. And in that gap of disconnection, this is where all our issues happen. Our pain, our problems, our suffering, our this and that. Again, the size of the gap can be a little, the size of the gap can be huge. Meditation is the raft that would help you cross the abyss that has separated you from yourself. And through meditation, we will come to experience the authenticity and enormity of our being. And that speaks for itself. There's a story about a sadhu who was sitting under a tree, chanting chants to Krishna. He was very happy. And a procession comes by. And the king is in this procession overseeing his territories. And he asked one of his ministers, "What's that man doing under the tree?" And the minister said, "No need to worry about him, my lord. He's just a crazy man, a fool. He does nothing, talks nonsense." And the king went on. And that night, the king started thinking, I wonder how many fools are in my kingdom. And who would the greatest fool be? So the king became obsessed with this. So he thought the next morning, I'm going to ask my minister to go out and find the greatest fool because I want to know that person and I want to reward that person. So he called his minister and he said, now you go out into my kingdom and you find the greatest fool. And when you do, you're going to reward him with his precious jewel. So the minister said, crazy situation, but as the king, I'll follow his instructions. So off he went and he asked everybody, are you a fool? And people would laugh and they say, of course not. And he went from place to place and village to village and town, and he asked people if they were fools, and everybody denied being a fool. So after 3 days, the man is very depressed because he feels the king is now going to punish him for not coming back with the solution or the person who is going to be rewarded. So he finds the sadhu, same old sadhu, sitting under the tree, chanting away to Krishna. And he tells this sadhu, can you help me? I'm looking for the greatest fool. And if I don't find that person, the king is going to punish me. And I've sought throughout the kingdom for 3 days and I found nothing. So the sadhu said, that's very unfair. You shouldn't be punished. Well, I'll tell you something. Go tell your king I'm the greatest fool. And mission accomplished. You won't have to face any punishment. So the minister said, wonderful. So here's the reward, a precious jewel. The sadhu took the jewel and threw it in the garbage. And the minister said, well, really, I have found the fool here. So off he went and he told the king about the incident. And the king was very happy that he had found the greatest fool in his kingdom. So years go by, and now the king's on his deathbed. And he's ready to transition into the next life. And the sadhu hears about this and comes by to visit him. You're off. And I see that you're not very happy, my lord. Why aren't you happy? And the king says, well, I'm not happy because I'm going to leave my kingdom. I'm going to leave all my wealth, all my fame, all my subjects. I've amassed all this throughout my life and I don't want to leave it. And the sadhu said, but if you have not created real wealth that will follow you, then your life has been pointless. And one who hasn't created real wealth is truly the greatest fool. So here's the gem as your reward. And off went the king into the next life. But don't we get wrapped up in all kinds of things like that? Don't we get lost in matter, in what feels a certain way, but isn't? Our journey is a process. We have to move through this process with faith, with dedication and perseverance. Our intentions are a process. Our relationships are a process. Our spiritual evolution is a process. And awakening to the fact that we are children of the light is also a process. And this process is unique to each one of us. It unfolds and expresses itself very differently. There's a woman in India who would pick a flower from her garden every day and put the blossom on her radio. And that was her offering to the divine. We can stop in the midst of our own day, take a few moments of quietude, go into the heart, and offer those moments to the divine. 5 minutes, 5 seconds. In our interactions with others, we can interact with the divine through that person. Swami Kriyananda said that when we interact with others, especially those who are difficult, we should see them in their highest potential. Offer them that, and you will see that person rise to the occasion. Because deep within, we're all the same. Children of the light, just lost and immersed in ego consciousness. The divine presence is here 24/7. We're swimming in it, and the divine is just waiting for us to raise our state of consciousness so we can experience the truth in every particle of our being. And this state of knowledge confers great confidence. We feel strong in ourselves, and confidence also comes from how well our perceptions match reality. When we're established on the rock of God consciousness, then we can go about life as an engineer, a homemaker, an artist, a bus driver, a doctor, a parent, a caregiver. It matters not. Regardless of what we do on the outside, when our inner work is great, our life will never be unimportant or small. When your inner work is great, you will shine like a diamond, and you will become the child of the light that you truly are. Now we'll have our offertory.